So in yesterday's class, we discussed about data warehouse. Basically, in the architecture of data warehouse, generalized architecture, you have one database in which you have multiple schemas for staging and target data mart, and also Informatica repository will be installed. That Informatica system tables and Informatica software server will be installed on the machine. Then you have the Unix or Windows DO separate box. Then you extract the data from source to staging. From staging, you load the data into dimensions and fact tables. In the lab, we have a DEV source, and we are going to load the data into DEV_STG table. And from DEV_STG table, we load into data mart. So DEV_ is our source, STG, DEV_STG is our staging, and the data mart is the final. So whenever you extract data from source to staging, in a data warehouse, we delete the previous data in the staging area for our incremental loading purpose, which I will discuss after a couple of classes, what is incremental loading. So, but as of yesterday's discussion, you need to extract data from source and delete and load the data into the target. Before you load, you delete the previous data in the staging table. So we created ODBC connections to import the table structures of source and staging. And in the target table properties, we have written the delete from target table, that is your staging table in pre-SQL, which will be executed as soon as the session is executed. Then to execute the session, we created connections because it is on a different databases for source and staging. Then we loaded the data into the target table. So we loaded into all 6 tables in yesterday's class. Now today we are going to discuss about extracting the data from dimension table and loading the data into, extracting the data from staging table and loading the data into dimension table. So you need to extract data from STG dealership and load the data into dimension dealership table. And the requirement is, if there is any null value in the country table, you have to replace them with USA. If there is any null value in the country table, you have to replace them with USA. The mapping loads the dealership table. Before it loads, it has to check if there is any null value in the dealership table. You have to replace it with USA. That is one requirement. And whenever you load the data into the dimension dealership table, you have to load with a sequence generated number. You have to load with sequentially generated number. Now in Informatica, as we discussed earlier, first you define the source structure. The source is on a staging database. So import from database. Now you change the ODBC connection to staging. You change the ODBC connection to staging, which is already created for you, which we already created in the yesterday's class. So staging table. I'll import the table structure for STG dealership. Because we are extracting the data from STG dealership, as per Informatica process, the table should be imported or created manually if you want in the source analyzer. Now you want to import the table structure from the data mart database. From the data mart database, it is on a different database, so you need to import. You need to create a ODBC connection for the data mart database because it is a different database. So I create a different database. So batch 16 SB14 data mart. User ID password. Dimension dealership table. Now, please open your sheet. Okay, let me do the mapping, then I'll give you. So mapping create M underscore case study 7 STG dimension underscore dealership. So you drag your source, that is your STG dealership, drag your target, that is your dimension dealership, expression. I gave the country. Let me tell you what it is in a minute. So I gave the country for it. Expression from dealership ID to dealership ID, I will connect it. From dealership ID to dealership ID, I will connect it. Then for the dealership key, I will use the transformation called sequence generator transformation. The purpose of sequence generator transformation is to generate sequential numbers, which I have discussed with you in the previous business cases. So I'll connect the next val. Then I'll start at the current value as 1001. And save your work. So you define your source, you define your target, you create the mapping. So dealership key, sequentially generated number. But I want to have if the dealership country is null, then replace with USA. So let us go to the staging database. Let us see the data in the staging table. Select star from STG dealership. For dealership ID 123, there is country null value. Their country is null. So these three records have country as null value in the staging dealership table. While loading the data into the dimension dealership table, you have to ensure that in the target table, that is in your data amount, when you load it, it should replace the country with the null value. It should replace the country with the null value of USA. So if the dealership country which is coming from your staging as a null value, you have to replace that value with USA. That is the business requirement. So what we do in Informatica is Informatica in the expression transformation, there is something called as a default value. In the expression transformation, there is something called as default value. The purpose of this default value is it will replace, if you put any value in this for USA, you have to select the port and put default value as USA. The functionality of default value is if this country column gets a null value, if this country port gets a null value at runtime, it will replace that value with USA. At runtime, it will replace that value with USA. So dealership country column, country in the default value, you specify. If you specify for region some value, if there is a null value in the data while doing the process, it will replace with whatever you specify here. So in a country, I specified USA. This is the functionality of usage of default value in Informatica of expression transformation. So for input and input-output ports, default values are used to replace the null values. For output ports, default are used to handle transformation errors. If there is any error, if the output is null, then you write the transformation errors in this. But whereas if it is input-output ports, that is data coming in and going out unchanged, then this is input-output port, or just data coming into the port, then you want to replace that with a null value, then you specify you place it in the default value. So at runtime, when it loads the data, it will put the null value in it. That is the functionality of a default value in Informatica. Then I use sequence generator to generate the sequence numbers. So please open your sheet and write down in 7.8.1 ODBC connection, username, password to import the table structure of STG dealership. Please write it down and let me know. So I hope you are done with writing this. Then for the ODBC connection for data mart, you need to create a ODBC connection. So please write down this. After you are done, please let me know. Then give the ODBC connection to import the table structure. So in this mapping, what we have learned is usage of default value in an expression transformation that will replace a null value at runtime. Then you use a sequence generator transformation to generate the sequence numbers. Now, to execute this mapping, I'll go and create a session for this. In my workflow, I'll create a session. Source, staging correction, target, it is on a different database. It is on a different database. So I need to create a connection for the target database because it is on a different database. I give a name as datamart underscore SB14. Give the username password for this. And assign the connections of target, change bulk to normal, and save your work. Whenever you are doing the lab, I request you again and again Please keep the sheet in front of you. Look at it. Look at it yourself and try to enter the username, passwords and all that stuff, please. Don't think that you remember the things. That's why we provided you the sheets for you, and you're putting so much effort to write in that. So whenever you do the lab, please keep the sheet beside you and look at it. We have meticulously planned. We have put a lot of effort in this lab sheets to make you do a systematic way. A lot of thought process went to it, but a lot of people are not using that. They are just entering the username, password. Yesterday I was seeing for somebody, they are entering the username, password of business case study source underscore student. Please keep your sheets and enter your username. See the sheet. You are writing in it. This is the connection for coming back to the class. This is the connection for the username, password and the connect string. Please enter this and let me know. This is for your data mart. If you are done, write down this for the session and the source connection and the target connection, please. So this is your dimension table, first dimension table load. You load the data. Now let me execute this session. Last page of what? This one? Yeah, by this time you should be having clarity very clear, everybody. What is source, what is staging, what is data mart, how we are writing the naming conventions and all that stuff. So you are done with this also, I think. So let me execute this. Start the workflow. Now it should load the data into the dimension table dealership. Along with it, it should load the sequence number, and also it should replace the null values. Also, it should replace the null values. So let me go and check. Select a star from dimension dealership table. So you have the country USA replaced for dealership ID 1, 2, 3, and it has generated the sequence numbers. If you look at the staging table, it has the source, it has the country, null value for dealership ID 1, 2, 3. So for 1, 2, 3, it has already replaced with USA in the target table, that is your dimension dealership table. Do you have any questions on this, please? So in the case study 7, default values will be used. when you want to replace null values. When you want to replace null values, you use default value in the expression transformation, and we used a sequence generator transformation to generate the surrogate keys. The sequence generator transformation is to generate the surrogate keys, which we discussed in the data warehouse concepts. Now, please look at this mapping and understand it. I want to extract the data from STG customer table, load the data into dimension customer table. Now, while loading the data into the dimension customer table, I want to generate a sequence number for the customer key. Then concatenate first name and the last name while loading the customer name into the target table, and reformat the phone number. Reformat the phone number which is coming in like this. I need to put brackets in it and also a hyphen in this. And the gender I need to replace. If there is a F coming from my staging table, that is your source data, then when you load it, you have to replace with F for female, M for male. If it is you have to put it as unknown. So then age, if a customer age falls between, his age is 35, then in the age group column of your target table, it should load 30 to 39. If the customer age falls 42, then in the age group column, it should load as 40 to 49. Like this, you have to load into this target table. That is one requirement. Second requirement is, it is SCD type 1. The dimension table is SCD type 1. In projects, this is what they give you. Detailed specification document, any concatenation, any column level requirement they give you, and they say it is SCD1 or SCD2. And also this customer key needs a sequentially generated number. The primary key on the target table is customer key. The primary key on the target table is customer key. This is the basic requirement. So you have to extract the data from customer table and load the data into dimension customer table. You have to concatenate the first name, last name, reformat the phone number, gender if it is F, put it as female, M is male, or U if it is U, unknown. Then age is your age group. It is called slowly changing dimensions. So SCD type 1, this is called SCD type 1. They will tell you in the project, and they call that as slowly changing dimension type 1. That is not business requirement. Whenever, as I discussed before also, whenever you do any mapping in this world, for that matter, anything you do in this world, it has to be mapped in your mind, what you are doing. To get the map, first you need to know what are the challenges, then you can give the solution. So what is the challenges they are asking for is, then while loading the data into the target table, you have to concatenate first name, last name, reformat the O of the phone number, then replace the gender with complete, and also put the age group. B, you have to generate a sequence number, that is your surrogate key. C, it is a SCD type 1. It is your slowly changing dimension type 1. This is my business requirement. So what we will do, we'll define the source, we define the target. First step is to concatenate first name, last name, and all that stuff. That is, for those type of functionalities to do, Informatica provides you with a transformation called expression. In that, combine the first name and last name, you will have concatenate function. You can use that in expression. Then to replace the reformat the phone number, for that we will use concatenate and a function called substring to get the reformat of your phone number. To replace the values for your gender, you can use if then else if, or you can use decode function also if you have multiple if statements. For age group, it is also if then else if customer age is between 40 to 49, then age group is, if the customer age is 45, then his age group is 40 to 49. Like this, it is a range, and if then else if, so we use the decode function to concatenate the first name and last name and all this stuff. Till here, let us do it. Then I will come to STD1 and STD2 separately, for STD1 separately in this discussion point. Let us do it till here, then we will take up the STD1 strategy. So, are you clear till here? I want the response from everybody, because STD1, STD2, fact loads are the most important in data warehouse as far as your job is concerned or your interview is concerned. So I'm going step by step. So first you have use the concatenate, the substring, phone number, and the gender. Now, first step in Informatica is to define the source. So let me go to define the source structure. That is STG customer. Then import from database im underscore customer. Mapping create m underscore case study 8 underscore im underscore customer. So your source is STG customer. Your target is DIM customer. Now, how a developer works when he's doing the mapping, observe it and learn from this presentation. As a developer, how you go and how you approach to solve a problem, how your approach is to build a mapping. So transformation, create, expression, whenever you put the ports, gets the data into ports into expression transformation, try to be as same as possible to your target table layout. How the target table columns are there, in that sequence only, try to put it in your expression. That makes your life easy as a developer. So first step, I want the customer key. I will do it by using sequence generated transformation. Customer number, then concatenate first name and last name. So drag your first name and last name. Then customer name, string, concatenating first name and last name. So 15 plus 13, the precision, it should be 28. Just I put 30. If you keep more, it will not be a problem. If you keep less, it will, when it loads, it will be truncate the name. So customer name, output to port only. Then I use the function called concatenate first name, comma, last name. I don't need to explain this functionality of this. You should be knowing that functionality of concatenate substring and all. because you should know the basics of SQL. So customer name, then address, city, state, zip to country. Address, city, state, zip to country. Then phone number. I will take output of this phone number. Make it string of 15 characters. Please write it down in your notes what I am doing. So phone number out, make it output port only. Now the format. What the format they are looking for is, let's say the input is coming like this. So what they want is 1, 2, 3 bracket 4, 5, 6 hyphen 7890. This is the format they are expecting as per your requirement. So the functionality will be, we will use combination of concatenate and substring. You should know what this concatenate means, what the substring is. So if you don't know, then go back to the basics and learn. So first step is the bracket open. So single quotes, bracket open. Then concatenate it. For concatenate, you can use pipe symbol. So single quotes, pipe. Then what we want? Substring, first 3 characters of this. So position of 1, 2, 3. So we use substring functionality, substring of port number, phone number, comma 1, comma 3. 1 is the position. From there, how many columns you have to move? That is 3 columns. Then concatenate, single quotes, bracket close. So as per our requirement, first thing till here it is done. Then again concatenate. Now substring from the 3rd, 4th digit, 4th character till next 3 characters. So substring of, again you write substring of phone number, comma, from 4th character to the 3 digits. This is the way they write it. 4, comma 3. Then concatenate, hyphen, single quotes. Please use the type keyboard to put this column, single quotes, bracket open, single quotes closed. You put this in, there should not be any spaces between this single quotes, please. If you have spaces, then it will give a wrong result. Then hyphen, concatenate, substring of phone number, comma, from the digit number 7, that is from the character from 7. Then if you don't give any extension to it, then it will take it till the last. So there might be some problem here. Okay, phone number, it should be comma here. So this is what is the syntax. If you want it, you can copy it. I will send it on the chart. Then validate. So this is how you do the substring of this. Then you do the email. Then you have the gender. Then you need the gender out. So the formula for this, gender out or decode function, how they use. Let me create a port called gender out. String output port only. Validate. So for the gender, this is the syntax. Then age, you need age as it is, and also you need a age group. Make it as output port only, and this is the functionality. syntax for this. If age group is less than 20, the age is less than 20, then it should give me below 20. If age falls between 20 and 20, age is less than 30, then it is 20 to 29. Like this you have to specify in your chart. I will send you this age group also. If you want, you can copy that. So this is how you specify it in Informatica. So customer number, concatenate last customer name, address, city, state, with country, then phone number. Use the substring functionality, gender out, and the age group. Then I take the transaction date and save my work. It will be invalid mapping. So for this, till here, I have worked on this. Any questions still here, please? Do you have any questions on this, please? Are you clear? No, I cannot explain the decode function because you should have the knowledge of it. As a SQL basics, you should have that. You should get that one. You can go back and look at it. Decode is used, for your knowledge sake, I'll give you, decode is used when you use multiple if statements. If you use multiple if statements, rather than using multiple if statements, you have to take up the decode function. That is a basic SQL functionality. And if you want more information, you can go to the help of Informatica and you can get the help in that decode functionality. So this is a decode function. So please go through this. It will give you the clear example of what they are talking about with all the examples. So multiple if statements this is. So you can go ahead and write it down. In the help, it is very clearly written, madam. So just go there. Why you should use true or why you can use the column name or the field name is written in this. So please. Then other than that, you are clear, right? Then comes the most important discussion point of today's class, which I take it to the next level. Now go back to your data warehouse concepts classes. Go back to the data warehouse concepts classes, which we discussed about SCD type 1. I'll just recap it. You have a regional office, where you insert 101. Then in the regional office, you insert 102. Head office clerk will send the data to the head office in a post, and along with the new sequence number, he inserts it in the head office. Now 101, 103 joined in Florida, 101 moved from San Jose to Virginia on 11th January. Now you load the 11th January data, send it on post because already 10th January data has been sent. Now you check, head office clerk will check if 103 exists or not. If it does not exist, he will insert it into the data. Check 101 exists in that office. If he finds 101 exists, then he will update it. He will modify the data. He will update the data in the head office. Next time, 104 joined in Phoenix, inserted in the source system. 101 moved from Virginia to Florida, inserted into the source system. So 12th January data, you extracted. Now you need to load the data into your head office. Check 101 exists in head office. If it does not exist, then insert the record 104 in your head office with a new sequence number. Check if 101 exists in the office, then update the record for 101 with address and date entered. Update the 101 record. So what activity the clerk doing at the head office? If the record exists, is inserting. If the record does not exist, is inserting. If the record exists, is updating the record to make the records in the head office book all current data. No history, all current data. So this type of thing is called as HCD type 1, which holds only the current data. Holds only the current data. So from our example of customer dimension load from source, we load the data into the staging. Now from staging, we are going to load the data. We'll check if 101 exists or not. If it does not exist, we insert a new record with a new surrogate key. Then second record, which is coming from staging 102, does it exist or not? We'll check it. Then we load the data into the dimension table. So if you look at it from a layman term, the logic of HCD type 1, from a layman terms, let us do the algorithm from a layman terms, or step-by-step procedure, whatever you call it as. Step 1, we extract the data from the source from a basic logic we are discussing. First step, what we are doing, understand it very carefully. We are getting the data from staging table or staging. Our head office clerk is getting from a post. In a post is getting the data. That is what we call it as staging. We load it into staging in our data warehouse. Then the clerk at the head office, what he will do? Clerk at the head office, what is he doing? He will check if the employee ID or the customer ID, which is coming from my regional office, the same customer ID, does it exist in my customer ID? Does it exist in my head office? That is what he is checking. If it does not exist, that is the customer ID which is coming from my regional office through post, if it does not exist in the head office, then what the clerk is doing, he is inserting into the record, head office record book, along with a number, a sequence number. If it exists, that is custody of regional office is equal to custody of head office. If it exists, then update. Then he's doing updating into the head office book. That is what he is doing in your example. So first he is checking, look at it from a head office perspective. He is checking if the customer ID which is coming in the post, does it exist or not. If it does not exist, he is going and inserting into the head office. If it exists, he is going and updating in the head office. That's what is the logic. By this way, he is only holding the current data in his record books. Current data in his or her record books. This type of holding data is called a CD type 1, or holding current data only. Current data. It will hold only the current data. Now, let us come to our Informatica strategy. Clear everybody? Are you with me? Now, when you come to Informatica, when you come to Informatica, now let us come to Informatica, how to solve this. Understand very carefully, or I'll put it not in Informatica perspective. Let me put it from a SQL, traditional programming perspective. Let us put it in a traditional programming. If you were a traditional programmer, what you would have done? Scenario is, you have a source, regional office. You load that data through post. In practically, you extract the data from source and load it into our staging table. That is the intermediate area. Like a post. Postman gets that paper, that is like a staging area. Post office is like your staging area. Then again from the staging, you are going to load the data that is taking from the post office. You are putting into your dimension table. That is like your head office register. Now coming to our discussion point, that is analogous to what we were discussing with that example. Now let us come to our requirement of a CD type 1 in a traditional programming. Now let us assume data is loaded into staging. Then now you have to load it into your dimension table, and it should contain only the current data in your dimension table. That is what we call it as a CD type 1. In a traditional programming, what you would have done? Step 1, you would have selected the data from the staging table. That is nothing but you have extracted the data from the staging table. Step 2, what you would have done? You would have checked, is the customer ID, which is coming from a staging, does it exist or not? Or not. That is the customer ID in my dimension table. You would have checked it. If it does not exist, that is condition failed. So how will you write customer ID of staging is equal to customer ID of dimension table? If the condition failed, then our understanding is customer ID of staging does not exist. Does not exist in my dimension table. Does not exist in my dimension table. If the condition failed, what should you do? You are going to insert data, insert into dimension table. That is the values coming from your staging table along with a sequence number, that is your surrogate key, into the dimension table. Step 3, if the condition failed, condition is successful. Condition is succeeded or successful. That is customer ID of staging table, which is coming from my staging. That customer ID does exist in my dimension table. Does exist in my dimension table. So what should I do? The clerk, what is he doing? He is going and update the dimension table with the values of staging based on what? Based on customer ID. Same customer ID or the surrogate key. Based on that, he will go and update it. Step 4, he will go and commit. So this is how is the logic in a traditional programming, that you will check Basically, if you are familiar with cursors, here we write, this is nothing but a cursor. They write it in a cursor, this one, select statement, then they loop it. This is algorithm only. This is not, there is no syntax in it. I haven't taken any PLSQL store procedure or anything like that. Just I gave you an overview how you would have written in a PLSQL programming. So this is the logic in your in your data warehouse or in your example. Please focus on if the customer ID of staging does not exist, that is the corresponding customer ID does not exist in the dimension table, then you go and insert it along with the new sequence number into the dimension table. If it exists, that is the customer ID coming from staging, does it exist in my dimension table, then you update the dimension table. So you do two activities here. Either you insert or update the data in your dimension table. If you insert it, you insert along with the sequence number. If you update it, you will update it based on a customer ID or on a surrogate key, which is already existing in the dimension table. But what values with which you update it is the values which are coming from the staging table. You are going to do both activities, either insert or update on the same table. You are either going to insert or update on the same table. Are you with me? So, this is the logic. Now look at it from Informatica perspective. The way Informatica thinks, the way Informatica does. Now, from an Informatica perspective, how are you going to achieve this? First, you have to check the step one only. Step one is done. You have extracted the data and all. Step one is you have to check the customer ID, which is coming from my staging. Is it equal to the customer ID of my dimension table? That should be the first process you have to check. To check this, what is the transformation you are going to use? To check the customer ID coming from my staging, is it equal to the customer ID which is in the dimension table? You need to check it. So which transformation you are going to use? Question to you. We have already extracted the data. We concatenated first name, last name. Now we need to check is the customer number or customer ID coming from my staging table. Does it exist in my dimension table or not? Which transformation will you use? We will use lookup transformation. So the purpose of lookup transformation is to get related value or to check if the corresponding value exists or not. So you will use lookup transformation. That will give you two things. What does lookup transformation will give you? If the condition fails, that is customer ID of staging is equal to customer ID of your dimension table, you put it as a condition. If it fails, what it will do? It will return a null value. Lookup will return a null value. If the condition is true, it will return a value. That is the functionality of lookup. So if it fails, you have to insert. That is our understanding now. Now come to lookup, come to Informatica, how you handle it. If it fails, if the condition fails, lookup will return a null value. If lookup returns a null value, that means condition failed. That means you have to insert the data. You have to insert the data. You have to insert the data of staging table. You have to insert the data of staging data into the dimension table. along with the sequence number. So to generate a sequence number, you use sequence generator transformation. That is fine. But here, observe, you either insert the data or you update the data. Observe it. If the condition is true, that is, if a customer ID which is coming from my staging is equal to customer ID of my dimension table coming from your source, from the dimension table, if the condition is true, what will happen in lookup transformation will return a value. Lookup will return a value. If it is null, if it fails, lookup will return a value. If the condition is true, it will return a value. If it returns a value means condition true. If the condition is true means you have to update the dimension table. With the values of your staging based on surrogate key, existing surrogate key, you have to update the dimension table. So here either you insert the data or you update the data in the same dimension table. Till now, whatever mappings you were doing, you were only inserting the data in the target table. You were inserting the data into the target table. How you were inserting the data in the target table? Map properties, here, commit type, source script, source rows as insert. So by default, it is firing insert statement into the target table for every record. Till now mappings. But this mapping is saying, which you are going to build, if the lookup condition fails, I will insert a value into the target table. If the lookup condition is true, we have to build a logic to update the data in the target table. So here the challenge is you either insert or update into the same target table, but one stream may go to insert, the other stream may go to update based on the condition of your data. Based on the condition of your data, it may insert the data into the target table or it may update the data into the target table, same target table. So insert into the target table or update into a target table, same target table, then it is called as multiple instances. The terminology they use in Informatica, when you have same target table, but you in one scenario, same target table you are using in one scenario to insert the data into it. In another scenario, or you are going to update the data into the target table. So you are going to load, like inserting or updating into two different target tables. You imagine it. But it is same target table, then they call it as multiple instances. Insert or update into multiple instances in Informatica. Multiple instances, you observe it, visualize it, data is coming, it is splitting into two streams, one for insert stream, one for update stream. Either it may be inserted or it may be updated, so it is splitting into two streams. And you are going to load data into two same target table but multiple instances. So when you want to load data into multiple targets or multiple instances, when you want to split the data in multiple streams, then to split that you use a transformation called router transformation. You will use a transformation called router transformation that will split the stream of data into two streams, one for insert stream, one for update stream. So after the lookup transformation, you will use insert or update the data into the target table. You will split that stream. Are you getting it, please? Or I'll put a diagram here, you can understand it. So the data is coming from your lookup transformation. So it will split into multiple streams. So I'll take into a router and split that stream into this, one for insert, one for update. Are you with me? This logic, please. So it splits into multiple streams. One stream, you need to insert the data. along with the sequence number. Another stream, you have to update the data in the target table based on what? Based on the customer ID or existing surrogate key. So either you have to insert or update. Same data in same mapping, one you may insert or you may update the data. When you are trying to do insert or update based on data, this is doing based on data. Based on the data you are going to insert or update the data into the target table. So you are doing DML activities. You are doing two DML activities separately. For that, Informatica provides you with a transformation called update strategy transformation. The purpose of update strategy transformation is to either insert the data into the target table or update the data into the target table or delete the data into the target table or reject the data. Means before loading the data into the target table based on some condition you want to filter it out. You want to delete, do not want to load the data based on some condition. You can use update strategy transformation. So the purpose of update strategy transformation at runtime is it will mark the record to insert the data into the target table or update the data into the target table or delete the data into the target table or reject the data in the target table. You need to only specify DD underscore insert or DD underscore update or DD underscore delete or DD underscore reject. Or you need to specify a numeric value like a filter condition, update strategy condition. You specify DD underscore insert, that's all. Internally it will mark the record as insert. At runtime it will fire the insert statement. If you specify DD underscore update, it will go and fire an update statement onto the target table. Update statement onto the target table. If you say DD underscore delete, it will fire a delete statement. It will mark it as a delete. So it will target table, on the target table the record will be deleted. Reject means it will reject the data. You don't need to write the syntax, you just need to specify this. So internally it will write a insert or update or delete data. Basically, update strategy transformation will mark the record. Update strategy transformation, you need to mark, it will mark the record as DD underscore insert. If you specify insert, then it will mark the record for insert. If you specify DD underscore update, it will mark the record as update. If you specify DD underscore delete, it will mark the record as delete. If you specify DD underscore reject, it will reject the data. It will not load the data into the target table. So through update strategy transformation at runtime, you can specify this to insert or update or delete. So when you specify this internally, when you specify as a DD underscore insert, that row of data, record of data will be marked to be insert. So what that the target table will do, that is based on to the target table, the fields which are coming into the target table. Example, how does insert statement will be written? Based on the fields which are coming into this target table. Based on that, Informatica internally will write the insert statement. That's what you are marking here. In the session properties, you specified insert, so this records will be inserted. Same way, if you specify in the update strategy transformation DD underscore insert and connect to the target table, based on the ports which are coming into the target table, which are coming into the fields which are coming into the target table, if you specify DD insert, internally, internal of Informatica, it will write insert into the target table name with the fields. What are the fields which are linked to that target table? It will write it internally like a dealership key, dealership ID. Like this, it will write internally Then it will save values. These columns will be specific dependent on the which are coming into the target table. If you remove this link, then it will not write to state. It will not write to state. So which are linked, it will take it up. And what are the values which are coming into that field, it will write by itself. What are the values are coming in for dealership key 7001, comma, dealership ID 101, comma, like this it will write and insert the data into the target table for DD insert. Or if you specify DD update, what does update strategy transformation will do is, it will write update, target table name, then you mark it. Internally, Informatica will write. When you say DD update, internal to Informatica at runtime, what it will do is, it will write update target table name. What are the columns which are going in? Those columns it will take. Here, please understand the catch. Informatica does row by row process. So, it will take update target table name. What are the columns which are going in? Like customer ID, customer name, or I'll put it as dealership ID for a discussion, dealership name. Then it will put the values, whatever the columns are going in, 102 dealership or 101 dealership ID, DJ may be the dealer name. Whenever you update it, Informatica does row by row. If you just write like this, what it will do, it will go and update the whole table with 101 for dealership ID, for dealership name Vijay. But which record we have to update, row by row Informatica process it. So internally it has to write a where clause. Where row by row Informatica process, a single record should be updated. So internally it will write in the where clause by itself, based on what? Based on the primary key. Based on the primary key of the table by default. This is by default, it will write based on the primary key of it. It will write by Informatica. When you mark that record as an update strategy, it will write by itself based on the primary key. If you say DD underscore delete, internal to Informatica, it will delete data from the target table. And it should have, if you don't put where clause, it will delete the whole table. As Informatica does row by row, so in the where clause it will write based on the primary key which is going into the target table. This is how update strategy works. DD reject means it will not send the data, it will drop the record without loading into the target table. Without loading into the target table. This is the functionality of a update strategy transfer. You can mark it. It will mark only, but internal to Informatica, it will does this process. So, coming back to the discussion, you check if the record exists or not. If the record does not exist, condition failed, lookup will return a null value, then you insert into the dimension table along with the sequence number. If the condition is true, lookup will return a value. Based on that value, you go and update the record in the dimension table with the corresponding data of your staging. To split the stream of data, you use a router. To insert it, you use update strategy transformation where you specify DD underscore insert. To update, you specify DD underscore update in and two update strategy transformations. So finally, you need an expression transformation. You need a lookup transformation. To split the data, you need a router transformation. To insert or update strategy transformation, you have update strategy transformations. Two numbers, one for insert, the other for update the data. Then you need a sequence generator transformation to generate the sequence numbers. So this is what you require. You use sequence generator transformation to insert a new sequence generator transformation whenever you insert the record into the target table. So this is what is the way of understanding an HCD type 2 and the approach to solve this problem. Are you clear about the logic, please? How to do it in Informatica, I will show you in a few minutes. Are you clear about the logic, please? Sita. Okay. Now, let me go to the mapping. British philosophy, divide and rule. British philosophy is divide and rule. So, transformation, create. I need to do a lookup. So, I use a lookup transformation on dimension customer table to do a lookup to get a related value. So, you can get the source. If you have defined the table structure already, you can import it under the target like this, because we have defined dimension customer under the target. If you are doing a lookup on a table which is already defined as a source, then you can click on this button, then you will get it. It is target. Then import from the relational table. Like you imported the file, import from the report relational table in customer table. Give me a minute, please. I will be back in 2 minutes, please. Okay, are you with me? Are you able to hear me? Yeah. So, look up. Like employee ID is equal to employee ID, which you have specified like that. We'll specify this customer number into this. This is my input to this. This customer number, which will be the input to my lookup transformation. The condition in the lookup transformation you specify is customer number is equal to customer number. This is the condition you specify in the lookup transformation. Be careful. It is not a customer key. It is customer number of lookup table is equal to customer number of input. You can use multiple operators, 6 operators in the lookup transformation, but we use only one operator, equal to. Then, as per our discussion point, now you have checked the data, if the record exists or not, that you did it in the lookup transformation. Now lookup will return a value. If the condition is true, that is, if the condition fails, it will return a null value. If the condition is true, it will return a value. So we need to stream the data, create router transformation, dimension customer. Now how to know is it null or value from the table on which you did the lookup? From there I will take the customer key. If this customer key which it returns, if it has a null value, my understanding is condition failed. If the customer key which is coming from my lookup contains a value, because it will scan the cache, like it gets the salary out, salary may be null or salary will have a value. Same thing, I took a customer key out, customer key may have a value, then the condition is true. If the customer key does not have a value, then I say lookup condition is false. That is, condition failed in the lookup transformation. That I will take it and I rename this. Because it is coming from my lookup, I rename for my understanding in the router transformation, customer key underscore LKP. Then, what are the columns I require for my target table? Those columns only I'll put it in my router transformation. customer name, address, city, state, zip, country. That is what is required. Then phone number out, which I have taken out is phone number out. Email I want it. Then gender, for gender out, the code which I have used. Age group, and the transaction date. These are the things which we needed. In my expression, router transformation. Now what is our condition? If the condition fails, it will return a null value. If it returns a null value, we have to insert it. So in the router transformation, I'll group the conditions. One for insert, one for update. Here I will check the condition. For mine, if it is a new record, just my meaningful name for the group. Here I will write the condition. What will be the condition? Is null customer key. Is the customer key which was coming from my lookup, does it have a null value? Does it have a null value? If it has null value, then the corresponding record has this router when it goes in. The record which comes into this group condition of that particular customer. Why didn't take customer number? So please hold on. I forgot to take the customer number. Please hold on for a minute. I'll take the customer number, customer name, address, city, state, zip, country into my router transformation. Phone number out, email, gender out, age group, transaction date into my router transformation. Group condition, new record, is null customer key lookup is my condition. So if it is null, then I have to insert the data into my target table, the customer number, along with the new sequence number into my target table. So create, update strategy transformation for inserting the data into the target table. Syntax for update is UPD. Syntax for update is UPD. Syntax for update is UPD underscore insert. I'll put it in my update strategy transformation from customer number to the transaction date. I will link it to my target table. I will link it to my target table, double click, properties, update strategy. Like filter, you write it here as TD underscore insert. That's all you write it in the update strategy transformation under the expression. Then to generate a sequence number, you write a sequence generator transformation to put it in your customer key. So you put it there. So next val, I'll put next val as 2001. Current value as 2001. So this is how you write a update strategy transformation. So you have a router. In that you check the condition. If it is null, then you took it to update strategy transformation. In that you marked that record for insert. So along with the sequence number when it is going into the sequence generator transformation, Informatica will write by itself the insert statement based on the sequence number. Not based on, along with that sequence number, you insert it. That is one logic. If the condition fails, if the condition is true, then you have to update the data based on the key of your surrogate key. So what you do in the router transformation, if the condition of your lookup is true, I give a meaningful name. If the condition of your lookup condition is true, then customer key will not have a value. Is not is null. Customer key LKP. So what it will check is that customer key is null or not. If it is null, then it will go in this group condition. If it is not null, then it will go into this group filter condition. If it comes into this group filter condition, that record should be updated in my target table. So I'll go to the second group condition. Based on the customer key only, I need to update it because that is your primary key. So I create another update strategy transformation. Put a UPD is my naming convention from customer key to this transaction date. I will take it. Then how to create another target table, multiple instances. That I will do it in a minute. So in this update strategy transformation, I will go and write DD underscore update. So DD underscore update is the syntax. So it will mark the record. It will flag the record as update. Now another target table I need. Same target table, you drag it. This is what is the same target table, multiple instances. You drag it. It will be the same target table name, but just it will put append with 1, because you cannot have the transformation of the target table as customer. Now dimension customer same names, definition same. So you have the actual table is dimension customer only. Then you link it from customer key to the transaction date and save your work. So in the lookup, you check the data condition. In the router, you split the stream of data, one for insert, one for update. While inserting, you write the sequence generator transformation. So go to Informatica, Sheets. Open your Sheets and write down this. Import the table structure of your STG customer. Please open your Sheets and write it down. How it internally works, I will explain you. You have to bear with me for another 15 minutes. You have to be with me for another 15 minutes. I will explain you how it internally works. So go ahead and write this as a source connection and the target connection, please. Sorry, import the table structure. I will return this, please. Source and target. And you are doing a lookup on a dimension customer table. Are you done, please? Let us create the session. Before you create, anyway, you know it. Lookup needs a connection, because if it is a file, you specify the path. If it is a table, you provide the connection like your stored procedure. For that, you give the connection. Lookup also, you have to give the connection. When you are done, please let me know. Okay. Now let me go to the mapping. Let me create a session. Task create session s_ mapping name. Mapping source connection, that is TEV_STG batch 14. Two target tables, multiple instances, but still it will have two connections you have to provide. It treats as separate table, so normal. So you have to provide the connections. Data mart SB14 is your target two connections. Then you have the lookup. For lookup, you specify the condition, connection of SB14, and you say OK. Then workflow. Then you save your work. So now let us discuss the mapping. So you have a source qualifier, you have an expression transformation, you did a lookup on dimension customer table. In that you specified the condition of customer number is equal to customer number input. In the router transformation, you have taken the customer key from the lookup table. That's why you renamed it as customer key LKP, and other columns are coming from your expression transformation. Then you have a group condition, is null customer key lookup, another group condition, not is null customer key LKP. One for update strategy, in that you written DD_insert, then a sequence generator. One for DD_update, then directly put it into the dimension customer table. This was what is your mapping. Now when you execute it, let me come back again. So when you execute the mapping, what happens internally? That is what is the discussion point. From Informatica's perspective, source will go to the source, gets you the data into the Informatica source qualifier. It will get you the data to the Informatica server. Now lookup transformation has the cache. It will also get the data into the cache as soon as we execute the session. Please observe the functionality of lookup, please. They said you observe the functionality of the lookup. Lookup will get the data from the table or on a file on which you did the lookup and puts the data into the cache, into the lookup cache at runtime as soon as you execute it. As soon as you execute the session, lookup source data will be extracted, and how many lookups you may have in your mapping, all will go to the table or file on which you are doing the lookup and gets the data from the table or file on which you are doing the lookup and puts it in the lookup cache. If it is a file that is inbuilt, if it is a table, you are doing a lookup on a table. At the session level, you have given the connection information of where the table exists. So Informatica by itself will write a select statement. It will write a select statement based on the fields or based on the ports and the table on which you did the lookup. It will write by itself a default select statement. It will write a default select statement, which we call it as lookup SQL. You can modify this statement lookup SQL override. If you modify this, they call it as lookup SQL override. Like source qualified transformation, will write the default select statement to get the data into the table on which you did the lookup at runtime. So data comes and puts it in the cache of your lookup transformation at runtime. That is a functionality of a lookup transformation. So if you go to the mapping under the lookup transformation properties, here it will write lookup SQL override. It will write a default select statement. How does it write? Based on what ports it will write? Based on the lookup ports. Lookup ports means the columns of the table on which you are doing the lookup. Those ports are here. Based on this and the lookup table on which you get the lookup, it will write the default select statement by itself. Informatica will write by itself. You can modify that select statement. You can modify this select statement. Tomorrow, next class, we'll see how, in what scenario you modify that select statement. But today's scenario, you understand that it will write a select statement and gets you the data onto the lookup cache. Observe it. I executed. Source went and got that source data into the source table on which it did the lookup. It did a lookup on dimension customer table. There is no records in the dimension customer table. So there is no records in your lookup cache. There is no records in your lookup cache. So when you execute row by row, first record comes in, goes to the lookup transformation, scans the cache. Lookup scans the cache based on the condition. Like your salary is 5. Here it will scan the table. It does not have data, but it scans the cache. So what it will do, it will return null value. Condition fail. If condition fail, it will return a null value. So router gets the null for that corresponding. All people get confused is here. This we are checking in this table for this customer ID. This customer ID only we are checking it. What it returns, null value. Then our understanding is this customer ID does not exist. If it returns a value, then our understanding is that record exists. That is what you have to understand very carefully in Informatica. So lookup will return a null value for this record because it tested for this record condition. Goes to your router, test the condition. Is null customer key lookup? Not is null customer key lookup. Yes, customer key lookup is null. So that record goes out. Then from the next val, you get the sequence number inserted to the dimension customer table. Second record comes in, 557, scans the cache. Record does not exist. So it will return a null value for that 557, goes into the router, test for the condition, is null customer key lookup, test, then it will insert along with the new sequence number. Then 1350, input, scans, gets the data out, null value, condition failed. So for that null, group 1 condition is true. So it will go as an input to the DD insert. It will mark as insert along with the sequence number will be inserted into the target table. Then when the session is completed, this current value of your lookup will be changed to 7004 and stored in the repository of Informatica. Go ahead. Go ahead with your question, Venkat. Yeah, I unmuted you.
Okay, when you are saying that, customer ID is not existing, that means, we are returning null, then, you are adding this sequence ID, ID. Instead of that, when you ID plus 1, that is that, already sequence numbers are generated in the table, right?
Which ID plus 1?
You know what I'm saying?
You are saying customer number should be... Yeah, I'm able to hear you.
Hello?
You are saying customer number...
Can you
Hello?
hear me?
Yes. Yes, I'm able to hear you. Or I will call you.
Giving new sequence ID, sequence number if
Uh,
you add the existing sequence ID and you generate the sequence number and add it, is it possible?
I'll answer your question now. I'll put you on mute. I'll answer your question. I'll mute you and I'll answer your question. Now, what Venkat is asking me is, rather than using the sequence generator transformation, can we add that customer number plus 1, like 1 plus 1 or whatever, 1 plus 1 as your sequence number, as your surrogate key? That's what your question? No. Then let me unmute it. Yeah, go ahead, tell me. Speak out. Venkat?
Yeah, already we have a sequence number generated, right? For other records. So sequence is going on. Now you are interrupting that sequence, and whichever the value is not there, you are adding a new sequence number. Instead of that, the existing sequence number will be added with 1 or whatever the interval, and you can move it to the target, right?
No, I couldn't get you. I'll call you and get back to you. I'll talk to you offline. Okay? I'll talk to you offline because I'm not able to get it. There is some disturbance here. I'll talk to you offline after the class. Okay. Then I will discuss with others tomorrow's class, or let me discuss afterwards. So let me go further down. So sequence number has been generated into the target table first day you loaded it. So it has inserted the data into the target table. Next day, 11th January got loaded into your staging table. Second day, please observe it. Second day, yeah, maybe I'll also get it clear after this explanation. So second day, please observe it very carefully. Second day, what happened? That is where a lot of people get confused. Second day, what happened when I executed it? This staging data is in my staging table. I extracted it, 11th January data. Second day, whatever data is there in my dimension table, customer table, lookup went and brought the data into the cache. Lookup fired the select statement onto the dimension customer table. Second day, second time after you loaded the first time. So lookup will went and go into the dimension customer table, gets the data and puts it in the cache of your lookup transformation. Gets and puts it in the data into the lookup transformation. That is, it fired the select statement onto the dimension customer table. Previous record also it fired, but there was no records in the dimension customer table. Second day, it fired the select statement and brought the data into the lookup cache. Then now Informatica does row by row process. First record comes in, scans the record of customer number 557, finds the record. So what it will return? It will return this data into your lookup cache of 7,002,557. That 7,002,557. 7,002 is the customer key of this record. That means it returns a value. Condition true. It will return 7,002. This 7,002 is from your dimension customer table for this 557. This is the catch. Excuse me. This is the catch you have to understand. This 7,002 is your dimension customer table for 557. That record comes into the router. Not null, true. So based on 7,002, it will go and fire the update statement. So it will fire the update statement at runtime. Update dimension customer table set customer number is equal to 557, state is equal to New Jersey, transaction date is equal to 11 January 2005, where customer key is equal to 7002. For this 7002, it will go and update the record in my target table. It will go and update the record in my target table of 7002. Then next record comes in 5661, scans the record. For 5661 customer number, no record exists, so it will return a null value. So if it is a null, then that record has to be inserted into my target table along with a new sequence number. Then 1350 scans the cache, record exists, so it will return 7003 corresponding surrogate key. Value of that record from the dimension table value goes to the router. Second group condition is true, so it will go and update the record based on the surrogate key. Now your dimension table contains only the current data. This type of dimension table is called SCD type 1. This type of dimension table is called SCD type 1. So with this, I am done for today. Any questions? Any questions on this, please? If you have any questions, let me know. Yeah, Rupali, go ahead.
Hello, Vijay. Can I see the diagram? Which one? The last one, just you showed. Here we are using target table twice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of using twice, if we give sequence means surrogate key to the update while inserting, then we can insert that table, insert the record into that table, and we can directly connect this update strategy transformation to the that one target table only. Instead of using two targets, can we use one here? Hello?
Okay. Yeah, I got it. I'll answer your question now. I will answer your question. What the Rupali's question is, what she is looking at is, instead of using two target tables, if I use one target table, I'll put the insert and also I update on the same target table.
Yeah.
That's right? Okay. Answer to that question is, in Informatica, from a single transformation, you can split the data. You can stream out. You can take the, let's say you have three fields in this, 3 ports in this. You can split this data into multiple output streams. Multiple output streams, you can split this data. But when it comes to input to a transformation, you can take only one input stream. It cannot take multiple input streams into the same transformation. So this can be taken to this, but this again to the same field, you cannot take it out. You cannot take it into the same field. That's the reason we use two update strategies here. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Two targets. You cannot connect this 3 fields again into this stream. You cannot do it. It is not possible in Informatica. Getting 2 input streams onto the single transformation onto the same fields. You cannot do that. From separate onto the different columns, you may do it, but not onto the same columns.
Okay.
Are you with me?
Yeah, I got it.
Because here you may ask me a question, Vijay, you have taken 2 input streams, but on different columns I have taken. But I cannot take onto the same columns.
Yes, I got it. I just had Means I was thinking that while inserting the update strategy transformation is disconnected with the that table and we can insert the
Yeah.
data. And I was thinking like that. So
Yeah, it's absolutely right. The way you have thought is absolutely right, but it is not possible in Informatica
Oh.
functionality.
Okay. Then okay.
Okay,
And
fine.
one more thing, yeah, one
Go
more
ahead.
about hello.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Uh, one more thing here is if here we are in sequence generator transformer, we give initial value to 7001 here, and if we find the record
Hmm.
and we update that record, and when we find another record to insert the record into the target table, then the surrogate key is 7001, right? Because whatever the key is in the that transformer, that will get inserted into that table. So there might be duplication key
Where?
in the target table.
No, because whenever you insert it, this next value is pertaining to this transformation. This is nothing to do with the lookup, please. Just diagrammatically, it is beside this. It is nothing to do with the lookup. Okay? Every time you insert it, for insert only, sequence generator transformation is used, not for update. Update you are getting from your lookup table. For update, the surrogate key you are getting from the lookup, not from the sequence generator transformation. So there won't be any duplicates, because every time it will generate a new sequence number, and it will generate, and if it uses it only, it will put it in the target table. So it will, every time it will be unique number. It will not be duplicate numbers in your dimension customer table.
But here we are incrementing that number by 1, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it will be incremented by 1.
By 1.
But it,
Yes.
but it will be used only when you insert it. If you don't insert that record, observe it. Please observe the. Or you go ahead with your question. Please complete your question, then I will take it up. Go ahead. Go ahead, Rupali.
Show me the same diagram. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I got it now. Now I think I got it.
Wait a
Yeah.
minute. Now.
Yeah, I got it now.
Okay, fine. If you got it.
Thank you.
Well.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Anybody has anything else? Yeah,
One,
Venkat. Yeah, go ahead, Rupali. Go ahead.
is there any provision in sequence generator transformer to check the keys in target table and generate the next key?
No.
Is there any provision?
No, it's not there in the provision.
Okay.
You are putting two things. You are putting database and the Informatica trying to club. You are saying in the target table at the database level, it will generate a key. So sequence generator can take it from there. No, it is not pertaining to database. Sequence generator will not get from the database.
Okay.
Okay? Any more questions, please? You're welcome, Rupali. So, don't go away. I know it is Friday night, but please do it. My friend Sujay is already there to help you out in doing it. Relax, think, do it. With this, I am done for today. So, you be on. I'll call. I'll give the control to Sujay. I'll give this control to Sujay. Then Sujay will discuss with you. Let me put myself on mute. I'll call Venkat and I will find out what Are you able to hear me, please? Question of Venkat was, every time we are generating the surrogate key from the sequence generator transformation. What Venkat is saying, already the number, already you have loaded a customer surrogate key. For example, you have loaded the customer key, surrogate key in the dimension table. Let's say you have loaded till 5 records with custom dimension. So when you are loading next time, if the condition is not true from your lookup, we are inserting along with the sequence number generated by the sequence generator transformation. This question is, why to use a sequence generator? Why can't we take that customer key last value, which is loaded into the dimension table, is 5, add with 1, and for this new record, make that as 6. Right, Venkat? Here, we should not do like this, because for every time you have to go to the database and take the number, the last maximum value for every record, every time. That will be a huge challenge. You cannot go to the database and get that value every time for every record. There are million records, million times you cannot go to the database, get the number. That's why we use this sequence generator transformation. And also, this sequence generator, this surrogate key, end user will not know about this. Will not know means he will not need to know, or he will not access this number. I will say end user will not access this number. This regenerated, that is BI DW team has generated for the purpose of joining the fact table. That is, rather than using the natural key, that is your OLTP key. Here OLTP key is customer number. Rather than using the customer number field to join the fact table, I use surrogate key. For that purpose only we use this. You may think that customer number is a number here, so why we are using it? For understanding purpose, I have put the customer number as a number here. Generally, it may be string or anything which I have discussed at length in your training program. Why you should use surrogate keys and all that stuff. That is my answer to your question, Virat. Is it clear now? Okay. With this, I am done for today.